What's the title of your, I guess, because titles can change, but what's the title of it right now?
A white boy from Crenshaw.
Now, how do you feel about the term white boy? Because there are some white Americans that feel like saying white boy is derogatory, but blacks always refer to white people as white boy as just sort of like an instinctual way to say it. It's not necessarily degrading or derogatory.
No,
but
it could be used either way. For sure, it could be used in a very friendly way. Like, that's my white boy. You know what I mean? You'd be like, these fucking white boys. You know what I mean? Like, so it could definitely be flipped either way. It's not a term that I've ever taken offense with people using it. It's not a term that I've used a lot to describe myself so much either. But it's funny, I was sitting in Leimert Park, I was at Haroon Coffee, drinking the iced mocha, and I was working on the dock, the trailer, and I came up with the idea of the name A White Boy from Crenshaw, and I knew at that moment I was onto something, because those terms, white boy and Crenshaw, don't go together. And right away, you're intrigued and interested, even if you don't know what it is. What is this? And it's true, I got the receipts, you know what I mean? You've seen the school pictures and everything, And so, I'm from there, born and raised, and so I think, let me, I think this is a great way to present the story and get a dialogue talking about some very interesting things in this era, and for me to tell my story, because, I have this amazing story of being supported and loved by the black community where I grew up, and then kind of trying to turn that back into like giving back. And I hired a lot of young people of color that have careers in the industry, let alone helped a lot of artists have careers. And, I haven't been like a culture vulture guy. I've been a guy that's been like good business for artists and things like that. So I think it's a good time for people to tell that story, because there's so much racial diversity going on and all this stuff going on. Like, it doesn't have to be that negative way,
Now, Snoop Dogg actually called you a nigga. You're so black to him. He says you just another nigga. You one of ours. How did that feel? I mean, he's using a very charged term, but basically to say that Paul is one of us.
Right. I took it as like the biggest compliment, of course. You know what I mean? It's a word I wouldn't use. I wouldn't use, I don't have any times that I use the word. I mean, being a white guy growing up in an all black neighborhood, you kind of learn early on, that's probably not the move. You know what I mean? So this has been, something that I just don't believe in using myself or whatever, but I thought it was very cool that he did it. If it offends anyone, I apologize. You know what I mean? I don't use the word, so people can know that. But I think it was, Snoop loves me in part because Warren G had gone through a very tough space helping out Death Row and all this stuff, but not getting signed. And then I came in and got him a big deal with Def Jam and made him a lot of money early on, when they were still, Snoop and everybody were still just getting little checks from Death Row. And I came and got him a big deal from Def Jam, and you can imagine that was a bigger check. And at first, and everybody, especially Snoop, felt bad about what had happened with Warren at Death Row and the experience. So I came in, made that happen, and Snoop loved me for it, I think. You know what I mean? And just, I helped get his music in Poetic Justice as well and things. And then he was just always see me hanging out. It wasn't like, okay, I was the business guy who came with this one thing, Years later, he called me and said, hey, I think you should manage Doggy's Angels. And so for a while, I managed Doggy's Angels. So he watched me, he saw me, having like a business sense, but like having respect for the culture and everything. And so, yeah, I mean, for a guy like Snoop to just even appreciate you in any way, shape, or form is, an amazing compliment. And, I feel I've earned my stripes to some extent. You know what I mean? I've lived in the community my whole life. I've moved around a little bit, but I'm back there now, and I try to give back whenever possible. And, I appreciate the love and just trying to give it back. So
these are the stories that you're going to tell in your documentary, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, White Boy from Crenshaw is going to trace me growing up in the neighborhood and what it was like as a white person being in an all-black neighborhood, and then how I got involved in hip-hop in the early days and the 80s, and then getting involved as a kind of a fan DJ, and then getting involved in the business side in the early kind of golden era days of hip-hop, and just the fun and excitement that was in there and all that.
And lastly, what's the challenge right now of trying to get this documentary about your life out there?
Well, I'm not personally famous, so it's not walking into these rooms with the people that have the checks to cut. It's not like they don't know who I am off the top. People are very intrigued by my story, but it's a lot of money to spend to make a documentary like this with the music rights and everything. It's not going to be cheap. So, convincing somebody that there's going to be an audience for it, and I don't have go watch my YouTube video, White Boy from Crenshaw. My numbers aren't I don't have 800,000 views or 8 million views on the video, so I don't have that, to help push it, at the moment. But I have some great partners that are helping me. I just signed on with a Emmy-nominated producer who's helping me shop the rights for the documentary, and he has a big CAA agent, and I'm confident that we're going to get it made, and very excited, about it. And look, if we get it made, great. If not, I'll just keep putting out small pieces like I did on the trailer that I can produce myself, giving people more content.
You say you're not famous, but you have an impressive resume that probably shadows over most people in this business.
Well, I've always been kind of low key for one thing, so I haven't been I'm trying to blow up my artist or the projects that I'm working on more than like myself, so I've been kind of behind the scenes. And, now with the White Boy from Crenshaw project, I'm kind of putting myself in front, so I'm trying to get more famous and more well known and get appreciated for what I've done and my contributions. And so, yeah, I don't mind that I'm not like some kind of household name. It's nice to not have to get stressed everywhere you go and stuff like that. At the height of my hip hop fame in LA, I'd go to a club and it'd be like 8 guys spitting in my ear trying to rap for me and stuff, it can be a lot, but I appreciate it all. I'm appreciative of it, and I appreciate, and I look forward to the success of this project and it getting me more famous, and that helping me be able to do more positive things, and give back more,
You're back and forth between here and the Dominican Republic.
Right.
One, what challenges does that face? Because you're not always here in LA to have that meeting.
Right.
But I guess things can be done virtual. Right. And two, what's your interest in hanging out and spending so much time in the DR? Thanks for watching StreetTV.net. If you're not subscribed, please hit that button below and click the bell to receive alerts and notifications. Feel free to comment below so you can give us your feedback, and be sure to watch the 2 related episodes to the right. If you want to support this platform or follow us on social media, visit the links in the description, and thanks for watching StreetTV.net.